The K&N 57 Series FIPK Performance Cold Air Intake is for those of you that have a 4-liter 1997 to 2006 TJ and are looking to add a cold air intake for a little bit more power, a little bit more fuel efficiency, and a little bit more sound from underneath the hood, especially when you jump on the throttle. Now, in theory, anytime you help an engine breathe in or out a little bit more freely, you are going to get some more power, and that is going to be true with this cold air intake. You are going to pick up a couple of horsepower. Now, in general, a cold air intake is going to give you horsepower at the very top of the RPM range, which isn't an area that you see all that often in your TJ. So I don't think you're going to feel huge gains from this cold air intake in the seat of the pants dyno. However, you are going to get some additional noise from under the hood, and you are going to get a little bit of mile per gallon gains from this because you are going to get a little bit more air into the engine. Now, the reason you're not going to see huge horsepower or torque gains all the way through the RPM range is because that i6 has been around for a very long time, and it is very much optimized right out of the factory. So you are going to see some gains, but they're not going to be massive. The other thing to note with any kind of cold air intake, this one included, is that if you take your Jeep off-road a lot in an area where there's a lot of water, you run a lot of mud, do a lot of water crossings, this is going to eliminate that factory aqua box out of your air intake system, so you're going to eliminate one level of protection against sucking air into the engine and potentially causing damage via hydrolock. So keep that in mind as well. If you are somebody who's just running a lot of dryer trails, you can certainly get away with something like this, although some people will say that the more open element K&N filter will let a little bit more dust and particulate into the engine, so that's something to consider as well. In general, a cold air intake is designed to pull colder air, but no matter what, unless you're installing a snorkel, you're still pulling air from underneath the hood of your Jeep, from within that engine bay. TJs are known for a lot of heat soak, so it's very hot under there, but this is going to help get a little bit more air into the engine, and it should be a little bit cooler, partially thanks to this piece of the cold air intake here that is designed to allow it to pull the coldest air from that front corner of the fender as possible, instead of from the center of the engine bay, which of course is going to be a little bit warmer. This is going to be a setup from K&N, so you're getting, of course, a K&N air filter, which is going to be washable and re-oilable. This is, or should be at least, the last filter that you'll ever have to buy for your cold air intake, because you can just clean it out and reuse it over and over and over again. Now, as far as cold air intakes goes, this one is going to be around the middle to the lower end of the price range. There are some intakes that have a fully enclosed air box, and those ones are going to be more because they're going to have more material. There are also some that have a metal intake tube instead of the plastic one that's included with this cold air intake. Those are also going to be more expensive. But if you're looking for something a little bit more basic, not quite as many features, and to save a little bit of money, this is going to be a good way to go. So we touched on a little bit of the construction of this cold air intake already. It has this plastic intake tube. It's also going to come with all of the couplers, the hardware, and the clamps that you're going to need to get it attached to your Jeep. So you have the intake tube here. You also have a nipple built right into it for your vent, and you also are going to have a spot where you can install your ambient air temp sensor if you have one of the later model TJs that is equipped with one. Of course, here you have a bit of an air box. It is really only going to be three-sided, and that is designed to draw the coldest possible air into the engine. And this does also come with some weather stripping that you can put around the outside of it. It's going to finish off the look of that box a little bit further. Of course, as we said, this does come with one of K&N's conical air filters that is going to be washable and rechargeable, re-oilable, so you can use it over and over again. As far as the install goes, I am going to give this a 1 out of 3 wrenches. This is probably going to take you less than an hour to get installed on your TJ, and anyone can do this in their driveway with just some traditional hand tools and a socket set. The first step is, of course, going to be removing that factory air intake that you have on your Jeep. So you'll remove the clamp and the intake tube from your throttle body. You're also going to unbolt the rest of the intake box that comes on your Jeep from the factory in order to make room for your new system. Now, in order to install this system, you are going to have to take your ambient air temp sensor out of your factory tube. If you have one, be careful, don't break it. Go ahead and insert it into your new tube as you're installing it onto the throttle body. You'll want to work your intake box over top of your intake tube, get that all bolted down in place, and finally, to top everything off, install that new air filter onto your intake. So as I mentioned before, this is a moderately priced cold air intake coming in at right around $265. The ones with a fully enclosed air box, more material, more expensive. The ones with a metal tube, also going to be more expensive to produce, more expensive to purchase. So this is going to be a little bit less expensive than some of the other options out there, but it's still going to get the job done. So if you're looking to get a cold air intake on a bit more of a budget, but still get one that's going to do everything you need it to do, I do think this is a pretty good value. So if you're looking for an affordable cold air intake for your 4.0 TJ, I definitely recommend this one from K&N, and you can find it right here at ExtremeTerrain.com.